Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, Force users of all ages, and welcome back to Inside the Tauntaun, a Star Wars podcast, where we get to the guts of what makes Star Wars meaningful to us. As always, I'm Dino Nicandros, and I'm joined by my good friends Alyssa Simmons.
Hi.
Daniel Dawson.
Hello there.
And today, ladies and gentlemen, we are wrapping up what has been an astounding 8 weeks of television, The Mandalorian on Disney+, and they just released a gallery behind-the-scenes documentary, which we will be talking about. We'll also be wrapping up a year in Star Wars, because the only good thing to come out of 2020, seemingly, was new Star Wars content. We're glad you're here with us. We're going to talk about it all. And by God, we're Star Wars fans.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Star Wars Inside the Tauntaun. This is our podcast opening song. Alyssa, Daniel, and Dino talking about Star Wars. Like and subscribe.
Everything in this episode is in a stage. It's in the volume or it's in a stage. But if you look at the story, it happens entirely outside. So we're doing that for various lighting reasons, and because the volume, will offer fantastic results. But we have to get a sense of atmosphere, of particles, to make, I think, this feel like we truly were in this location.
We meant what we said. 2020 has obviously been a year.
Yeah. To say the least.
To say the least. But we are currently living in a renewed renaissance.
Absolutely.
You win
Star
some
Wars
and you lose
content?
some. Yeah.
That's right. Right. You take and you give. I take
We gave a lot.
I take
for
Star
this.
Wars and I give my career. So
Wow. Yeah, literally. Yeah, I haven't worked in over,
we don't mean that. We will be back and we will be better than ever.
Oh,
But
sure.
Yes.
in the meantime, we've
But
all
yeah, but
sacrificed
wow,
a
we
great
have Star
deal to get some pretty great Star Wars content.
Let's talk about Star Wars.
So on the heels of maybe the greatest Star Wars moment in
Oh my gosh. I'm still
40 years.
I mean, honestly, I'm trying to remember a time where I felt as emotional as the last episode, but yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, my new favorite thing right now is searching up on YouTube for reaction videos.
Yeah.
Great.
The genuine
Literally-
ones are really, really good.
Oh God, it's just so beautiful and sweet, and yeah, just literally every single person is in tears, and I'm watching like videos of people videotaping their dads watching it, and like them going, that's my man, that's. Oh, it's just great, so great.
Our good friend Robert Orozco, who we had on an episode like months and months ago. At the very beginning of this.
Last year.
Yeah,
I
last year.
think.
His as many people from his generation, his absolute like hero is Luke. So
Yeah.
I knew that he and his family had been watching Mando, and so I was like waiting for the text message back from him after the finale, and I was like
Total
I
devastation.
was so excited to hear from Robert, and he was just like, I just seeing Luke, I lost it. I didn't expect something like that to overwhelm me the way that it did, which is like, I think just totally wraps it up perfectly, because it's like, we had talked about like that was like the obvious choice, and we weren't sure that they were even going to go there.
Totally.
We're so glad they did. And
Are we going to say like definitively that was the best Star Wars moment of 2020?
I mean, for lots of folks it was.
Yeah, well, I'll say objectively, like, it was definitely the most impactful.
Sure.
But we actually had a really great year in Star Wars, well before The Mandalorian. We had Clone Wars finale.
Oh my God, that happened this year.
Guys, that was this year.
Like
that happened this year.
700 years ago.
Truly.
And the last 4 episodes of that.
Oh, was a film. It was a
Some
like
of
a
the
full-length feature
and
film.
I'm pretty sure Daniel and I were watching that together earlier this year, and I'm pretty sure we had said this is some of the best Star Wars ever. So
yeah, we've been saying that
Absolutely.
a lot this year.
I think that Star Wars 2020, I'm going to make a super bold statement
Oh,
here, but
here
I'm
it
going to say
comes.
Star Wars 2020 is completely we owe just a debt of gratitude to Dave Filoni.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yep.
Because I think that, and we'll talk about this right now as we dive into the gallery episode, there is a inherent reverence and respect for Star Wars and what it means.
He just
and
loves it so much.
the origins of it and how everyone that was like, hand making all of those props and original costumes and set design and all of that stuff. Just he understands the depth of what Star Wars means to people.
Yeah, and I think I like the fact that he doesn't use his breadth of knowledge like, I don't want to say like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, like he's using it against, he doesn't use it against people like
as a gatekeeper, serving as a
yeah,
gatekeeper.
like he's like, oh, you don't know this, you're not as cool
You're
as
stupid.
me, you know?
Yeah,
you're
I'm
stupid.
better
This
'cause
doesn't-
I
this
wrote this
doesn't-
with George Lucas, so
Yeah,
you'll never
right.
understand.
This doesn't
He's-
matter as much to you as it does to me.
Yeah,
sort
Yeah,
of.
all-
no, but
yeah.
he
It's
literally
all in
just loves it
service
so
of
much.
the storytelling and the characters, and that I think is apparent in the best.
He's
Star
clearly
Wars
having a
stuff that
wonderful
we've gotten
time.
this year.
Well, he's the true heir to George Lucas, and that
Mm-hmm.
that is nothing against any of the creatives who have made movies after it
No,
was sold to Disney.
at all.
It's not a slight on anyone, but he's kind of
Slight.
he and Jon Favreau, we've said this, are kind of the Kevin Feige's,
Yeah.
and who's the president of Marvel Studios,
Mm-hmm.
an executive
Dr.
producer. That is their role as far as
Right.
Lucasfilm is concerned right now. They are the
Apparently.
kind of the connective tissue to all of these other properties.
The
And-
glue.
And with everything that's being rolled out in the next few years, that's kind of running tangential to, or rather parallel to Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Mm.
They're going to have their fingerprints all over all of it, and we are so lucky.
Yeah, if there's
That
any
is the
pressure,
case.
which I'm sure there is, it doesn't show. You know what I mean?
No.
Like that's how I love how cool he is about all of it. He's just like, yeah, we're just gonna make this and we're gonna do that, and it's pretty cool. I really love Star
I'm sure
Wars.
there's
you know?
I'm sure there's absolutely pressure, but
Well, I mean, as we're gonna talk about in the behind the scenes,
Yeah.
like specifically,
Yep.
like how as just like a for instance about his inclusion of Ahsoka in the second season, like
Mhm.
he was just like, I didn't want to do it in the first season because I was just too afraid of screwing it up. you know?
yeah.
Well, yeah, and he talks about he doesn't want to introduce characters unless they have real utility to the story.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
which
The way
is
he
which
approached
again-
Ahsoka's live-action appearance was, who is going to know enough about Grogu to reveal his name?
Yep.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
how do we? It was something as simple as, we need to reveal Grogu's name.
Who's the
and
best person?
who is
to
the
do it?
appropriate person to do that? And her
Yep.
history with Yoda and the Jedi Order. It was perfect. It was organic. It wasn't gimmicky. It was just a lovely introduction for her.
Yeah, so let's go through this awesome Disney Gallery episode and talk about some things that stood out to us and
Yes,
maybe stuff we didn't know. And I mean, there was
Sure.
certainly a lot of stuff. We all took a lot of notes.
Yeah.
Well, I'll start with you guys. What we don't have to go in any particular order, but what kind of blew your mind?
Oh, blew my mind. Gosh, I mean,
Or just interested you.
Okay.
Didn't have to blow your
I
mind.
loved the fact that I don't. This is just the first thing that came to my mind. That Missy Rosas played the Frog Lady. The person who played the Frog Lady also played Quill in season 1. I was like, oh my god!
I didn't know that. And
Yeah.
how fantastic. And also, what an incredible physical actor
Yeah, so
to
good.
play those two very different roles.
Well, and Pedro
Totally.
Pascal and everyone in the documentary was giving
They were
her
gushing
serious
about
props.
her.
Because the
Yeah,
only
uh-huh.
way you make something like a frog lady believable, or you achieve audience
A
buy-in,
nameless frog
is
lady.
if you are really, really good physically.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Major standouts to me. I love obviously, hearing from the costume department, from
Oh
makeup.
yeah. Oh, the making of all of the creatures.
Yeah,
My God, the
I
creature
just
shop.
loved.
So cool.
And I didn't write her name down because I'm an a-hole. The
Oh my
costume
God.
designer,
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
she's brilliant.
when she said, she said she's worked on multiple Star Wars things, and she just said, it was so cool to watch Tamara go into Boba Fett, because she said
Yes.
his physicality completely changed. And
Oh,
for
yeah.
the three of us are actors, so we understand what a costume, what a set,
Yep.
what even a specific pair of shoes can do to change a character.
Uh-huh.
But it was just so cool to hear her say, like, his posture completely changed.
Yep.
He went from being his normal self to having that armor on, and he became this gritty, hard-ass gunslinger.
Yes.
And
Have you guys had that moment like in your acting career? Because it's definitely happened for me numerous times. I'm curious if it's ever happened to you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like where you're like, I don't really completely understand this character until you like get in the costume. You're like, oh, that's what he's supposed to be. Got it. Okay.
For me personally, physically speaking, I played Tweedledum in Shrek last
Oh yeah,
year.
yeah.
And the
Brilliant.
costume is enormous. It's hella light, but it's like enormous. And I'd like done my nerdy actor character research on who Tweedledum was and why he was who
Good
he
for
was.
you.
Mhm.
But the second I put on that round costume, I
Yep.
was like,
Oh,
this
got it.
this is who this creature is. So yeah, that costume completely defined the
entire
physicality
character.
and the entire
Yeah.
performance
Yep.
that I did. So,
That's awesome.
but yeah, that was really cool to hear her talk about that.
Oh,
my
um,
favorite thing. There were so many great things.
There's so
but
many things.
I loved Bryce Dallas Howard talking about how much Jon Favreau stresses the realistic filming of
I'm
everything.
so happy. Literally, you
Stole the
just
words
took this
right
out of my mouth. I
Yeah.
was just gonna say that. I love
Because,
it.
she said that they were having a lot of issues with the pirate ship
Yes.
scene and they had originally had a crane, doing some like over the top shots, and Favreau was like, "Listen, if we were actually shooting at sea,
You wouldn't
in
have
the
a
middle
crane.
of the ocean or anywhere, you wouldn't be able to have that." So, hearing her sort of talk about how much that's stressed in Mandalorian, especially under the sort of confinement of them shooting in the what do they call it?
The volume.
In the volume.
Oh,
So-
right. The valley. Yeah, right.
So that was super cool because she's like, as realistic as we can shoot this and just like literally pretend like we don't have any special effects helping us out,
Yeah.
then the audience is going to come on board with the storytelling.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's gonna get lost.
Really smart.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it is.
It's subtle, but
absolutely,
it really does make a difference, I think.
it is a masterclass in directing from
Yeah.
all of these people. So that was a standout for me, but there are millions of more that I could chat about.
Totally.
What stood out? What stood out for you the most, Dino?
So, going back to Boba Fett a little bit. Number
Mhm.
one, how much Tamara Morrison and Katie Sackhoff are absolutely enjoying their lives.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
really
God.
sweet.
These big, stupid, teethy grins every time the camera, and I mean stupid in a very endearing way.
Oh, surely.
They are just so excited to have the opportunity for Katie to play her character who she's been playing for over a decade.
Which
Yeah.
never happens for voice actors, y'all.
No.
it never happens, okay? We're valued in the booth, and then generally speaking, that is where it ends. If there's live action adaptation, it's not going to be you.
But Katie Sackhoff, being who she is, was
perfect fit.
This was the perfect storm for her.
Yeah, nobody
so
could do it
she
better.
was so
it's
excited,
so cool
and
that she had the support and love from Bryce Dallas Howard as well, being like, please God, let this still be Katie Sackhoff. Like, let it be her.
Well, and Jon Favreau voiced a Mandalorian on Clone Wars, so he and Katie Sackhoff had actually shared scenes together, but he even remarked we had never been in the booth together.
Yeah.
So it was just so cool to collaborate in that way.
Oh, and also the Dave Filoni and her have the conversation of like, someday you're going to be live action. And she's like, oh, yeah, okay, sure, whatever you say.
Yeah, just such a cool full circle life moment for them to get to share that together.
How
and then
cool.
and then Temura to put on the armor of the sun.
Yeah.
Having played both the father and the son.
Yeah.
And you can tell how much it means to him.
I want to be his best friend.
Yes.
Honestly.
Yeah.
all of the footage they showed of him, I was like, I need more of him just being himself in my life. Does he have like? Is he active on social media? I don't know.
I would watch that
Not really.
reality
I
TV show
I
for
started
sure.
following his accounts, and he's pretty sparse. But my gosh, he has
needs
such
to be
a fire.
full-time.
Oh my God, the fact that he requested the gaffy stick, like that was his
Yes.
idea, that's freaking dope.
We talked about this during that episode, the infusion of Maori culture into his fighting style and to his kind of code of ethics.
Yeah.
Almost, which is so wonderful. And
Really
this is going to take
cool.
me to my next point. You really have to credit Robert Rodriguez, who I think quietly snuck in as my favorite director of The Mandalorian, even though Peyton Reed directed our favorite episode.
Yeah.
Robert Rodriguez is getting his hands on the Boba Fett series coming out next year.
Sweet. Wait, is he
And
doing it
watching him-
exclusively?
Oh, he's kind of the executive producer. I don't know if he's the only director on it.
Director.
Oh, okay,
But-
gotcha.
But his DNA will be all
Amazing.
over it.
Well,
Amazing.
it was amazing. It was amazing to hear him talk about, like, so many of us have been long awaiting this Boba Fett return.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so there's obviously a lot of importance. There's like an entire generation of people who thought Boba Fett was the frickin' coolest thing in the whole entire world, had his original action figure. Like, so to hear him talk about that was really
Well, and there was
wonderful.
2 points there. One point was he stressed how different he needed to be from Mando.
right.
He's a barbarian. He called him a barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
Which his fighting style, the way he dispatched those stormtroopers was the most barbaric thing we may have ever seen in Star Wars.
Yeah.
But number 2, when he was talking about staging what ended up being a 9-minute fight scene, and this was my favorite part of the documentary, he went into his backyard with his children.
Oh, I
and
love
put them-
that.
and
love
put them
that.
in
amazing.
stormtrooper costumes.
So great.
And mapped out the fight sequence, and then included action figures as kind of a previs
Yeah.
compilation so production could see it. And they went absolutely nuts about it. And Robert Rodriguez was so excited. He's like, these are my people. They get it. This is so much
He
fun.
also has a fantastic speaking voice, and I
Yes.
wonder if he's done like an audiobook or if he's on the Calm app or something. 'cause,
He
like,
seems
I
is
super chill.
he is
need to
cool
hear
as
his
the other side of the
voice.
pillow.
Yeah, his voice
Mhm.
is like delish.
Yeah.
So-
And
Yeah,
playing
he
guitar
was-
with Baby Yoda on set.
Oh God.
Just,
Yeah.
Which is now like the most viral thing on the internet currently, I
we
think.
have been blessed.
Yeah, some other
Um,
cool things was Favreau talking about his friend David Cho, who's a graffiti
Yeah.
artist.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And David Cho was like, "How come there's never graffiti in any Star Wars?" And he was like, "Well, there are in the animated series, but not in a live action. So if I get to direct one, like, I'll bring you on board." And seeing the care and attention that he took to that amazing graffiti like alley
And the layers.
in the first episode.
Well, and I'd always wanted to go back and kind of zoom in on that graffiti because I always thought
Zoom and
there was
enhance.
something there, but I was never sure. You see it in the trailers a
Of
lot.
course. Yeah, and just all the, like he said, all the artwork sort of at the bottom is done by Jawas because they're not tall enough
Right.
to, like,
Yeah, it's such a
reach-
great
Well, and did you
detail.
see the drawing of Vader and Luke, and
Yep.
then
Yes.
the Death Star, and I was like, oh, this is
Just so
cool.
So fantastic.
Yummy stuff.
And then
see
they
what
put
else.
David Cho in the episode as an alien.
Yes.
Yeah, he got a little alien background feature.
So great.
What was I gonna say? Oh, also just like I going back to just like the beginning. I mean, of the fact that it's called. I did. Am I the last person to know that it was called Huckleberry?
We never talked about it, but
No.
perhaps
They talked about it last
Was that in
year
the season one
on
one
the-
as well?
I
that was
believe
the code.
so.
That was the code name
Yeah,
for the.
yeah.
I totally missed that. What an idiot!
Yeah, you're stupid.
I'm a stupid dumb butt face.
I loved going back to Boba. I loved the makeup designers talking about what being in the Sarlacc, like the stomach acids
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff,
Yep.
would have done to Boba's face.
Yeah.
And how, like, they'd done a preliminary thing to kind of give him these, like, cuts.
They went
and
super
burns.
extreme, and
Yeah,
I
let's back up a
loved
little bit.
it.
It was cool.
Yeah. So that was
Yeah, he's really more
that
veiny.
was super cool. It was really interesting to hear about the lighting of the lightsabers.
Yes,
with Ahsoka.
you just brought the words right out of my mouth again. Yeah,
Yep.
like I
Um,
did. Is this the first time that they've used that? Like, did they do that with the sequel?
They did
trilogy?
use those types of lightsabers starting with Force Awakens,
Okay, yeah,
but it's
'cause
relatively new.
Well, yeah, because
And-
it really does like allowing for such cool new lighting effect.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, because that's something, that sort of lighting, you can do a portion of that sort of lighting in post, but not anything that cool looking.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
nothing beats
And-
practicality.
Especially in their, pod where they're able to, like, control all of the other lighting elements, unless,
My
for
God.
the,
Well,
like, the two scenes that they actually shot on location.
I was gonna say, in her introduction, like the lightsaber's lighting is pretty much the lighting that reveals her. You know what I
Yep.
mean? It's like
Right.
almost entirely from her lightsabers, which makes it look so cool.
Yeah, I loved that. I loved
I loved all of it.
Well,
so
Alyssa,
many
you were
things.
talking about the volume, and this was towards the beginning where one of the lighting designers was talking about how he was shifting the sky to create the best composition possible, because it's again this volume is a 360 studio, and it's 100 feet long and 22 feet wide.
I
And
want to play my
you
video
can-
games on there so bad.
Well, that's what it is, though. They're rendering it like a video game in real
Yeah.
time, and they would literally shift the image over to create any composition they want at any time.
Well, this is kind of dope. And I mean, I don't know. I don't remember if they actually really talked about it, but you could see it happening as they were recording. But to give the effect that the depth perception is really there, like as the camera is moving, they actually have to move the screen as well
sure.
Yes.
to make it look like it's really that far away.
Right.
Which I think is, I never even thought about that, but it's so smart. I mean,
Well, and another cool trick, and we gushed about this moment when,
Are we talking
we're
about the
inside
ship?
Slave One,
yes.
and the ship has kind of a gyroscopic movement where once it flies
They were just showing off
vertically.
that point. They're like, let's see what else we can do with this.
But so they built the
Totally,
platform, but the interior of the ship was digital volume wall.
Yeah.
Yep. Just so creative.
They made it look like
so-
everything was moving.
Yeah,
So
all of
dope.
the best creative minds are on this, and multiple people said in the documentary, like, we are all huge Star Wars nerds, and we're playing. Like,
Yes.
yes, this is
Yeah.
our work, and that's honestly, I think that's something that comes out so much in Mando seasons 1 and 2,
Mm-hmm.
is this sort of sense of, like, childlike wonder and mystery that some people feel we're missing from the last 3 films.
Yeah, we're like we're all playing. We're like we're in a big
there's-
sandbox.
and,
We're all
I
playing
can't remember
together.
Who it was, but one of the directors said, like, yes, it's action, but the thing that's sort of like uniquely Star Wars about it is that, like, even though there's a giant like ice spider chasing after you, and it's really scary.
Yeah.
There will be like a funny moment, a funny line, a funny physicality that brings you back into this sort of like Star Wars play that's happening.
Totally.
Which is so great, so cool to hear from all of the designers on, you know, bringing the crate dragon to life.
Well, and that's a great point. Doug Chang, so he's basically he's the production designer. He is the look of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And he's been involved
Lord
really heavily since the prequels. And his whole explanation for what their development of the crate dragon was, where
oh my gosh, so cool.
where they came up with this concept with as it grew, it would grow more appendages.
Yeah.
More limbs.
And then
Such
they
a great
started out with this
detail.
100-foot beast that they thought was really intimidating, and Jon Favreau kept saying, we need to
Make
go
it bigger."
bigger. And finally it's 600 feet long.
600. Well, and him talking about too, like, you know, because the crate dragon never fully comes all, you know, his whole
Right.
body never fully comes out of the sand.
Right.
He sort of equated that to the Jaws shark.
Jaws, yes.
Yeah,
And
which is great.
the more mystery that you can give this creature, the scarier and the more anticipating it's going to be. Like,
Well, and even
so,
even working out the physics of how it travels under the ground, and they came up with this great concept of it using these sound waves to dissolve the sand around it, so it could travel quickly. It's like that is just
You got to come up with,
so
and you got to come up with a
detailed.
science behind it in order to make it feel more real.
Right,
Like,
and if
even
you
if you're not going
believe
to
it,
actually
we'll
say
believe
that
it.
on screen,
Yeah.
like as long as it makes sense to you scientifically, then
Sure.
we'll believe it. Yeah.
right.
yeah.
You know what's funny, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate mail for this, but that's why I feel like sometimes in like DC comic movies, like I get a little bit of detached because like sometimes it just feels like they're doing it because it looks cool, as opposed to like, oh, this like in my head, even though it's fantastical and definitely wouldn't be a real thing, it doesn't scientifically make sense. So I feel like
the sort of suspension of disbelief.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
there.
Well, and that's a good point, and we're not gonna crap on DC, but
no,
I
absolutely
will
not.
say
Because there
what
is wonderful DC content out there.
Of course.
But I'll
believe
say
me.
what Marvel has done really well, to your point, Daniel, is they set they created a set of rules and they stuck to it.
Yep.
And they never take themselves too seriously, and all of like the serious, still dramatic moments are earned
Mm-hmm.
through character development, and that's kind of, you could see kind of Star Wars DNA in Marvel,
Yeah.
and vice versa, and
Sure.
it's never taking itself so desperately serious.
Totally. Yep. And you know, man, that's actually you kind of nailed it on the head with the comparison to this show to the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
You know, the sequel trilogy kind of
Yeah,
maybe taking itself a little bit too seriously at times.
But you know what? I do have to give the sequel trilogy, and we've given it plenty of props.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
Yeah,
does
we're not.
it does
we're
many
not
things well.
We're not haters of the sequel trilogy.
No,
like
no,
a lot
no.
of people.
But one of the things it gave us, and a lot of people don't know this, it gave us live action director Dave Filoni, because on Last Jedi he was invited by Rian Johnson
Right.
to kind of observe and learn what it takes to build a movie like this. And Rian Johnson is a very accomplished director, and
But now he's playing with the big boys.
well, and it should ease, I would hope it won't, but it should ease criticism on Rian Johnson's adaptation, because he had the heir to Star Wars whispering in his ear the entire time. So when Luke Skywalker was presented in the way he was, there were other people saying, that
makes sense.
This checks out.
Totally.
Yeah.
This wasn't him just saying, I'm going to blow it all up just to blow it all up. All of this has been done with such love and care, and we won't always like every choice.
Yeah.
But it's now very clear where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And it's our patron saint, Dave Filoni.
100%. This is gonna be like really random, but it just popped in my head. But
Say it.
also, can we talk about, because I know that we talked about it in the last episode as well, but they like basically confirmed it in this behind the scenes. Moff Gideon is horrifying. Like the fact that like that the stunt man was actually like, oh, dang.
He was blowing through Darksaber props.
Because he was just a little too intense. But I think it was great because like he knew he had to bring it, and he definitely brought it. Like, good for him. So cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It was cool to hear Carl Weathers talk about getting to direct a Star Wars thing.
They skipped right over the Gene Pant guy, though, which I was very upset about, but that's fine.
They did.
They did.
But Carl Weathers had a very unique perspective, having been both a professional athlete and then an action star for most of his life. It made total sense that he has such command over giant action set pieces.
Totally. Yeah, and it seemed that like the rest of the cast was like, yep, that we have every confidence in this man because you can tell that he knows what he wants.
He said just about, shooting action sequences and action movies in general. He said, make sure you capture the large strokes and then you get the actors in for all the little details.
Right.
Which I think is a fantastic way for a director to sort of like compartmentalize shooting something action packed.
Mm-hmm. Is
like looking big picture first, getting all those large strokes, and then putting all the action in there to color, actors in there to color it and give it more depth. And
right. And you know who I want to give credit to specifically? Gina Carano.
Yes.
You could tell season 1 there was not that there was an uncomfortability, but she's never really acted. So season 1, she's kind of learning on the job. She was really in her body this time around.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't mean that physically, because she's always been a physical menace.
Yeah,
I mean, she's an amazing physical presence.
She was kind of getting her feet wet in season 1, and now she's like got all the way into
But you kind of saw her vulnerability this season, and even the way she talks about her character in kind of the press setting.
Mm-hmm.
Just her acting vocabulary.
has
naturally increased, and I'm just really impressed by her, and you can tell she's just eating it all up.
Yeah. And it was cool to hear Ryan Watson, the stunt coordinator, talk about getting to do with Cara Dune, like what he wanted to do with her in season 1. Because he's like, I know Gina, she's so freaking strong, like I could throw anything at her. And he's like, and this season I got to give her all the crazy like body slams and head slams.
She wrecked people this season.
She really did. But yeah, I agree. There was definitely a softness and a vulnerability to her in this season, and just in her as a person in all the interviews.
She's got more depth now.
The peeling back, the peeling back of the layers with her history with Alderaan, and she had some of the more for such a physical character. She had some of the more still moments in this season, and she did a really commendable job.
Definitely.
So go Gina. Also,
go Gina. Go.
Also,
go.
I would like to draw attention to the fact it looked like Pedro Pascal was having an absolutely miserable time on set. I think all of the rumors of him storming off are true.
Oh, yeah, apparently. Oh, yeah.
I don't think there will be a season 3. He looks
they're canceling
miserable, and everyone around him looks simply miserable.
They're changing the title to Baby Yoda.
So whoever, and I'm not going to say the person's name, they were so wrong, and I'm so happy because Pedro has a history in Hollywood of being one of the easiest people to work with, and so fun and obviously talented, and I can't wait for them to continue to mine his story, because he's a delight.
Yeah, he's just great. Also, just saw him in the Wonder Woman 1984.
Oh,
which
yeah,
was
he has 3 movies out right now.
Yeah,
or rather 2 movies and Disney Plus.
His agent is working very well for him right now.
And he worked with Robert Rodriguez on We Can Be Heroes, which is on Netflix.
Oh,
amazing.
So that's fun. But he's having a very good year, and I'm glad someone is.
Yes.
Noticed.
One of my favorite quotes from the whole thing was Bryce Dallas Howard, and she was like directing some extras in the back of the scene.
I know exactly what you're trying to say.
And yeah, she was like, and then you'll pay, and then the other actor who's a man like had the credits, had the money, and she was like, "Can you give her the money? Ladies pay in my universe."
Yes, I'm like, yes, bitch, yes.
And I just like all the details like that are just
great,
fantastic, and really make it what it is, and make the world feel rich and
meaningful.
Well, and she's the one who said we're all 6-year-olds here playing Star Wars. That's
Yeah,
all we're
yeah.
Yeah,
doing.
that was her. Yeah.
And it's so true. And one of my favorite moments as well was when Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni were debating whether they should have Mando say McClunky after after he hangs the mob boss up by his feet on the light pole. He's like, should he say it? Should he say it? It's like, well, when you say it out loud, no, we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, they were just
also
total kids.
their conversation about, which I thought was really fun, their conversation, because they went back to season 1 and their editing of the of Boba Fett finding Fennec. And the sound design, and they're like he's like, oh, should we use those? And he's like yeah, and he was just saying, yeah, people are gonna definitely know that this is Boba, but then they're gonna be like, oh, maybe they're trying to make us think it's Boba, and then they're thrown off. You know,
Right.
it was
playing 4D chess.
Yeah, literally though. Yeah, it's very cool to hear like that, those wheels turning, definitely like trying to redirect by like showing the obvious choice.
But
Like
he knew. He's like,
he
they're
totally
too
knew.
smart for this. They're gonna know within seconds that boot spur sound effect.
it was very cool to see the behind the scenes on that, because there was just so much. Just every nerd, including us, were just talking about that moment and what it meant, and then to see them talk about it was very, very cool.
So how many of these episodes do we get?
This is it.
8, I think.
This is it?
No, I think that.
Wait a
I think
minute,
there's just one.
This is the one and
We're only getting the
only?
one.
Yep.
No, we got 8 last year.
I know they covered all of the episodes in this episode.
I know.
Well, but I thought that
maybe
this
they
was
were
just the
gonna-
director one, because like because you know,
Yeah.
because they mostly just like. Well, here's the thing. The reason why I think there's going to be more, which is there not? Is there actually not?
I mean, I don't think there is. I think this is the
I'm
only
so
one.
sad.
That's so crazy, because they totally like glazed over the Luke.
Well, okay, I'm glad you brought
thing.
that up. And I think there will be footage in years to come that will leak out that directors took on their cell phones. But I think the lockdown they did to protect the fact that was even happening,
Yeah.
Mhm.
that they weren't going to include that in any supplemental material. So anything that comes out about that, I think, is going to be off like Jon Favreau's cell phone.
That's interesting.
And I cannot wait for that. But
Yeah, it's plausible. Maybe they didn't even.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
they're
really
like, we're not
sad
even
that
gonna
this
allow like
I'm really sad
other
it's the only-
cameras
the one and
on
only.
No,
set.
and they are so paranoid about leaks that, I mean, Mark Hamill was literally celebrating the fact it didn't leak when the
Yeah, that's
episode
kind
came
of
out.
insane though, that they were able to keep it that like for
Yeah.
a year more or less. You know, and
But
that's
Yeah.
but Mark Hamill was on set, and I cannot wait to see
Wow.
some grainy cell phone footage
Yes.
of that day, because it will be so good.
Yeah.
so
Oh,
neat.
yeah. Well, if that is the one and only, everyone should watch it. It's really great. There's lots of just lovely stuff in
Well,
there.
and I think two of my favorite images were George Lucas laughing with Rosario Dawson,
oh
Oh,
gosh.
so
Ahsoka Tano.
special.
the character he created originally with Dave Filoni,
Mm-hmm.
and then George holding baby Grogu,
Yeah.
and them calling him great grandfather
Great-great-great.
Lucas.
Yeah,
So
that was
great.
amazing.
It's
Yeah.
just it's fun to have it all tie back together, and I think this is the first time in recent memory that Star Wars fans don't have a ton to go at each other about.
Yeah.
Like, this was a pretty unifying experience. And,
Totally. How wonderful for all the basically all the Star Wars fans to be able to
I
unite
mean, isn't it
under
so much
one project.
easier to just
like it?
Yeah.
like it, and if you don't
Just
think
don't
the
freak
world
out.
ended?
Yeah.
right.
Nobody's
Honestly.
attacking your childhood. We're all adults here, or we try
Yeah.
to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Just move
yeah.
on if you didn't like it. There's gonna be so many Star Wars.
Correct.
There's gonna be
You're gonna
so
like something.
many Star Wars. Oh
Well,
my God.
that sort of brings us to each one at a time go through and say what our absolute favorite Star Wars thing of 2020 was, since this is our last episode. This is our last episode of 2020. So let's do it.
Alyssa, take us away.
Oh, it's me? I'm first?
Yes. What was your favorite Star Wars 2020 moment?
I think oh my gosh.
Don't poop.
Oh
God,
it's
everywhere.
Don't worry. Nothing is cliche. It could be any of them.
I think all of season 2 of Mandalorian, honestly.
The whole thing.
Just the whole thing. I'm not even going to pick a specific moment because
I hear you.
It was so anticipated from last season, and we were all excited but also worried, could they live up to the storytelling and the father-son relationship and the action and the, characters from animated series being brought to life in live action form. And that was just really thrilling and really really special too, to get to see Katie Sackhoff get to bring a character that she's been Bo-Katan for 10 years now, to get to see her step into those live action shoes, to get to see Rosario Dawson enter the role of Ahsoka with such, like, I just keep using the word reverence, but that's really the word that's coming to my mind.
It's precisely the right word.
And respect, and how much research and care she brought to that, because she knows how important Ahsoka is to this, this generation of Star Wars fans who grew up with her. And obviously the season finale, getting to see Master Jedi Luke return to come bring Grogu into his flock. So yeah, that's my answer. Season 2.
Damn good answer.
It's good that you just I felt
Daniel.
Super not broad and very specific. Yeah.
yeah.
Daniel,
No biggie.
What's your favorite?
Okay, well, I mean, I already kind of said it before we started, but I mean, for me, I guess probably the most special moment was definitely Luke's arrival into the series.
Yeah.
It was something I'll never forget. That feeling that I felt. Like I'll talk about that, like, probably, like, to my kids someday.
It will be studied.
Yeah. A very, very magical Star Wars moment. If I was gonna pick, like, my best kid moment of 2020, it would probably be. Not probably. It was definitely Grogu putting his hands up in the air inside of the Razor Crest and then
like
barfing.
It was a freaking roller coaster. Yes,
just,
absolutely.
That was
blue
100% the most cute moment.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's it for me.
Dino.
So I have two, and these two are besides the Luke moment, because obviously
because we already talked about it. Yeah.
We were a mess.
Sure.
So number one was Darth Maul in the Clone Wars finale.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say it.
There's a scene where Ahsoka frees him
if
from
you haven't
captivity.
watched Clone Wars, mute right now.
Yeah,
for
whoa!
30 seconds.
Yeah. Okay. Giant spoiler, but Ahsoka frees Maul from captivity once Order 66 has been initiated, and he goes on an absolute rampage, which was so delightful for me because I am a space fascist, and
100%.
I'm really not. I just like.
He's not. He just
I like
likes all
villainous
the
characters because they're interesting.
They're complex.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And Maul has, and I want to give a huge shout out to voice actor Sam Witwer, who has taken Darth Maul these last few years and given that character such a tragic complexity.
Oh my God, yes.
And combined with the new animation techniques they used on Clone Wars, he was absolutely stunning. The Clone Wars, I can't believe that was this year because my mind was blown by it.
I know.
And I'm not a huge, honestly, I'm not a huge animation guy. And Star Wars animation these last 5 years or so has blown my mind.
Just beyond.
So that was one, and then
Sam
number two,
Witwer's screaming of Kenobi is iconic. It's literally iconic.
It's so good.
I loved how he said, like, on the day he did it, I was like, I'm pretty sure I was spitting up blood. But...
Oh yeah, definitely.
Sure.
He's gonna have to get like his hull
Yes.
scraped after that. Yeah.
So that was number 1. Number 2 was, well, no, I have so many. I'll glaze over number 2 and go to a number 3. Number 2 is all of Boba Fett. All of Tamara Morrison is
sure.
Boba
Oh yeah.
Fett.
Oh my God.
Just I'll leave
All
that
of the
there.
ghosts.
We've talked about it.
All of that.
Number 3 was Bill Burr's performance in the table scene with his commanding officer.
Oh yeah.
That was so
That was
good.
that, and Alyssa had focused on this.
Oh, I
when
love
we were
that that's your
specifically talking
favorite.
about this episode, but that was one of the best acting beats in Star Wars ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really explained a lot about the world building too.
The
and...
capturing of PTSD and regret and shame, all within this devil may care
Mm-hmm.
character.
Yeah.
And
the complicatedness of it all.
it was such a brilliant moment, and that moment was made even more brilliant by the fact that Pedro Pascal, so he has removed his helmet, and this is the first time humans have seen him without his helmet since he was a
Right.
baby or a young boy. And his
Babu
acting,
had a baby eats a boy.
which no one focused on, but I noticed this on the second rewatch. So Pedro is sitting there without his helmet in the presence of these two guys, and he doesn't look out of his peripherals.
Mm-hmm.
And that's interesting because
He wouldn't.
he wouldn't, because he's always worn a helmet.
Right,
Right.
right.
And it's such a small thing, and 98% of people, it'll glaze on by, but it was like, it's so interesting. He's not looking out of the side of his eye like we normally would if we were kind
Yeah, you don't get side eye from this character. Yeah.
It's that attention to detail, but that whole scene,
He's like a
was-
cat.
Yes.
Because
That
cats.
whole scene was amazing. Credit Bill Burr, who
Yes.
famously said Star Wars was stupid,
Whoops.
and anyone who likes it is stupid.
Whoops.
And he was trolling people when he said that. But then Jon Favreau asked him to be in it, and he's like, "This is the coolest thing ever."
Yeah. He's like, all right, fine. I guess I like it now. God.
and to give credit to Bill Burr, when he said that, he said it in his stand-up routine, and he said,
Right.
I make fun of things people like, because that
course.
gets the biggest rise out of
Of
people.
course.
Absolutely.
He fits. He's a natural fit. I hope we get to see him again.
Oh, we have to. We're gonna.
Those are my favorite Star Wars.
Yeah, remember
moments.
they're gonna do like a whole Rambo series about him because
Yes.
he's in the jungle now.
Oh yeah.
That's right. They just kind of left him. He's like, good luck
Yeah.
on this
Bye-bye.
Imperial-held planet
Sleep.
with no ship and
Where am I?
no supplies. But
Yeah. Wow. What a year for Star Wars, and there's only more
the best
coming
is yet
our
to
way.
come.
The
folks.
best is yet to come. Oh, you know what? I did want to bring up before we left, just about speculation again. Just it probably is just the internet imploding on itself, and
Where
you
did
know
you look?
what's
What did
oh
you
no
do?
no
Go
no
to
it's
the
not where I
Reddit.
looked, and it's just all the buzz about Mace Windu that's happening.
Oh,
It's like he had his
that.
birthday, and then
Daniel
then
was
everybody...
duped by a happy birthday post. That's what happened.
You guys,
so
I was
convinced.
definitely
I'm poking fun, but actually, Daniel,
But-
you and I exchanged texts because I woke up and saw a Twitter post from the Star Wars account that said this party isn't over.
I mean,
Happy
I'm
birthday,
just
Samuel
saying,
Jackson.
but we're not the only ones that are freaking out about this because the internet is a buzz, and it's not just the social media. It's like people are writing articles about this now because they're like, wait, is Mace
Well,
Windu
Samuel
coming
Jackson has been telling George Lucas for years, "I'm alive."
back? Yeah, it's canon. I'm alive, bitch. That's it.
He's
He's
like,
like,
"I'm
I
alive.
would like to have a job,
You didn't see me die."
so I'm alive.
But yeah, but to the point where my friend Kurt texted me about the beginning of this behind the scenes, and he was like seeing I think it was one of Ahsoka's lightsabers, or I can't remember, but it like looked like it was flashing purple. He's like, "Oh my god, was that a clue?"
Oh my gosh.
But we're all reading
paranoia
into shit now,
stage.
guys. We're like, I want him to come back so hard. It would be cool.
If,
I wouldn't be mad about it.
If there's a reason, I would be mad about it because a lot of the things that went wrong are his fault.
Right? That's legit.
So-
Oh
Well,
my
maybe
god.
you're gonna get some closure there.
I hope Boba Fett gets his vengeance
No.
on Mace Windu.
Anyways, so yeah, do we have anything else to say?
There is so much in the pipeline.
I'm a banana. I'm a banana.
Daniel's a banana, and it's well past his bedtime.
You're right.
Yikes.
You're right. I
Well
haven't
past
had
my
any dinner
bedtime.
yet,
It's
so.
11 o'clock in Houston,
Oh
Texas.
my gosh.
Oh.
But to sum it all up, we had a great year of
Yes.
Star Wars. 2021 and beyond is going to be
Look
magnificent. And we hope that if you're listening to this and you find yourself perhaps a bit lonelier this holiday season, or things looked very different for you, you have a place to come and nerd out with us, and we all hope that things get better for you in the new year, and I believe it will.
Same.
I do too.
Amen to that.
And,
Amen.
Sending all of my prayers and good wishes to you all, and to my pals Alyssa and Daniel here. Because quite honestly, this year would have sucked even more if I didn't have you two to talk to.
Oh,
And,
No.
oh, I love you so much, Dino.
and
It's true,
I
though.
have
we're very,
you
we're very
too.
lucky. We're very lucky that we found each other in this crazy world, and that we can talk about Star Wars and life, all the good
Well,
stuff.
What a dream.
but we've got some exciting stuff coming up. We teased a outside the Tauntaun,
Yes.
whatever that means.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just have to
We've
tune
got
in and
we've got
find
some
out,
new Star
bitch.
Wars books coming out at the top
Yes.
of the year. The
I
High
pre-
Republic is
pre-ordered
launching.
Light of the Jedi. I'm so excited. It's coming
Book club?
January 5th.
Question mark?
Yeah, that means I'm going to need to learn how to read. Very
We'll
exciting.
teach Daniel how to read.
It'll be awesome. So, anyways, happy New Year. Are we gonna have another episode before?
Well,
New
we'll
Year,
see.
New
I
Year?
mean, there's
Well,
still
when
3
is
days
January
left?
1st, Friday?
Yes, I think
this
it
was,
is.
I think
All
this
right,
was
so
it
this
for,
is it. This is
This
the
is
last.
it for 2020.
Oh my
so,
gosh.
2020. So,
Well, I
anyhow,
mean-
happy New Year. Thanks so much for listening. We truly appreciate you all, and we're excited that some people like to listen to us freak out about Star Wars.
But we'll see you on the other side. Come on back.
Yes,
Please!
absolutely.
Please come back. Don't leave us here alone.
All right, this is Inside the Tauntaun. I'm Alyssa.
And I'm Daniel.
I'm Dino.
May the Force be with you.
Always.
See ya.